IMHO Talk Show.
Yes. IMHO to the talk show. Sir Charles.
It's Max.
Razor.
That's right. And we still here for y'all people, bringing the world to Seville, taking Seville to the world. So like we always do about this time, we're going to continue to give you that good info, to continue to edutain. And so, I'm delighted to be joined right now, Miss Max and Razor, by the good folks doing great work over there at none other than Abundant Life Ministries. And so, they want to give them some shine as far as to get people more familiar with the organization, with the mission. So we have two great representatives with us right now, and they have, I know it's a couple of events coming up, before the year is over as well, where the community as a whole, the greater community, can also show support to that organization. But gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. How you all doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
And so we are joined by none other than Mr. Travis Watson and Mr. Michael Guthrie.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Appreciate you guys having us for sure.
For sure. So let's go ahead and start, and so that people can get a little familiar with you. As far as just let us know your role with Abundant Life, and we'll hear from each of you, and then we'll ask some questions.
Yeah. So again, thanks for having us. I'm actually on the board of directors for Abundant Life. Have been in that capacity for a little over 6 years, and before that, I worked with my good friend Richard Firo with the 5th through 8th graders, kind of the old guy in the group.
Okay.
We'd go play basketball or dodgeball, and then once we stopped to have a little dinner and kind of talk about life a little bit, that's kind of when I got into the mix on it. The other guys kind of took the spotlight away from me on the basketball and the dodgeball course, but I was able to hold my own in the conversation with the kids, and just trying to give them some different perspectives, and a lot going on over there. I know we're going to talk about that, but we're grateful to have Travis back in the area doing what he's doing.
Speaking of sports,
3-on-3 deal and that kind of thing. But
is that why you got that ice pack on your knee?
Yeah,
playing basketball.
Travis back you there?
This is actually a wiffle ball injury.
Oh,
I was playing wiffle ball with my 9-year-old grandson, and can't move quite as well as I used to. But anyway, Travis and I reconnected, and I kind of pulled him back into has lived in that neighborhood, loves that neighborhood, and pulled him back in with Eddie Howard, and grateful to have him back involved with us.
Yeah, that is awesome. Because y'all see, as I peruse the website and whatnot, you have a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar names to the community. Those community connections are always so important, which, as you said, kind of alluded to Travis, being a UVA baller and coming back to the community. So what brought you back here, and what's your involvement with Abundant Life now?
Well, I have my own nonprofit called Legacy Driven.
Okay.
I got my own nonprofit called Legacy Driven. And so since I've been back, like I said, I've ended up reconnecting with Mike Guthrie and Eddie Howard, and just doing things, for the community, and especially since I've been in school too. So it's been fun since I've been back, been able to collaborate with them on some things, and looking forward to the future.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank you for that. So, but I'm curious. I have to ask, because I know the great mentoring that you do. I saw you over at CHS, lending a hand, and so the work that you do through Legacy and everything. Like, how did you mesh that with Abundant Life? Like, what makes that work together? As far as in your goals.
My goals is to teach the kids leadership. Also the soft skills that apply to life. A lot of, basketball is the vessel, but life is bigger than basketball. And so, me watching them grow over the years, and, I felt that we can, do a lot of special things together, and they opened me with a lot of, big arms, and been excited ever since.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's awesome. So when we talk about Abundant Life now, Mike, and, being the summer of 2024, like, what is at sort of top of the list, like when it comes to fulfilling the mission and the vision of Abundant Life, for folks who want to learn more about it right now? What is the ministry up to? What is it about?
Yeah, I think the thing that's really exciting about the ministry, it's been around for over 25 years. In fact, my church, Trinity Presbyterian, was a church that really spearheaded the ministry getting started in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually lived in the neighborhood back in the day on Orangedale Avenue, just down the street 400 years before he lived in it. So it's a neighborhood near and dear. But I think the thing that's most exciting about the community is the fact that it's becoming more about the community. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been invested in the community, but I feel like over the last couple of years, especially with people like Eddie and Faith and Bruce and Dom and all these guys who have had involvements in the community, live there. I think there's I always talk about building rapport, gaining credibility, and showing people you care. And I think that those results are beginning to happen, not only in the community, but like the Fifeville Neighborhood Association, which is a really strong, is now sort of involved with us, communicating with us communicating with them as to what's better for the whole footprint. You know, there's this really great Cherry Avenue master plan thing going on right now. And we've been brought into that. UVA Health is now a really strong partner at Abundant Life. Every other week they do free clinics at our property there on Prospect Avenue. They bring food. They teach folks how to cook nutritionally, and having UVA Health now involved in all UVA pipelines and pathways. You know, and then a lot of more churches are finding out about us and saying, "Hey, I want to help make a difference." And so. You talked about events. I think it's August 10th. In Ix Park. We're having this thing called the Gospel Explosion. And, you know, it's a great example of when something crummy happens, something good comes out of it. And that, you know, Martin Luther King, we always do a big celebration that day at Buford Middle. And we had, you know, freak snow right when we were starting. So the crowds were small. Had a gospel band that came up, I think, from Virginia Beach. And we had just not a good crowd. But they were so gracious and said, "Hey, when can we come again? We want to do this again, and we'll bring some other bands with us." So that's how this August 10th thing came out of, awesome. You know, disappointment at Martin Luther King Day, but now turning it into a really cool community event down there in Ix Park on August 10th.
That is awesome. You know, and let's take a couple steps back real quick, Ms. Max, as well, because for those who don't know, like, so you told them about the mission, the vision, but let's talk about who you serve. Right. Because you're located off of Prospect neighborhood. So tell us about that location and as far as what your reach is when it comes to who you serve.
Yeah, I mean, it really is about that community, although we are beginning to, like with Fifeville Neighborhood Association, the footprint's always been, but we've always been part of Fifeville Neighborhood Association, but it's always felt a little bit separate. And so that's really our main focus is Prospect, Orangedale, Greenstone, and really investing in the kids, tutoring the kids, doing financial literacy for the folks that want to really kind of begin to figure out financing. Across the street, there are 5 of the duplexes that were just bought through a community land trust, and 3 of them have already closed, and all 3 are people that live in that neighborhood, so they now own something. Right there in the community. A couple out of Greenstone, I think 1 out of the Prospect neighborhood, and we've got, I think, 2 more that will close. And, you know, they're right across the street and feel like, hey, I'm on the Monopoly board for the first time. I'm going to start collecting $200 every time I, you know, cross go. But so our community is that, but we also want to be open-armed and be more involved with folks like Yolanda Harrell at New Hill, and involved with them in regards to what they're doing as far as, you know, teaching people how to cook and that kind of thing. We're want to be more involved with City of Promise. They're doing amazing things over on 10th and Page. There's no reason why that we can't do some partnership there, right? But really, our main focus is right there. We have 2 houses right on Prospect Avenue that we own. We own some land right behind it. That goes down to where the Habitat for Humanity homes were built. And we're hoping to do something pretty special back there, again, with Fifeville being involved in it. And we're not quite sure what that's going to look like yet. We're just in the start of it, but we feel like we can do a 3-level deal there with the topography and it be a drawing place for kids and for adults in their community.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the work that you do, because Essentially, what you're doing in the community is no different than what Charles and I do when we come to the radio show. And that's just trying to, as Charles puts it, edutain people, which both educate them and entertain them. But it's to create a better community. It's to create a better people. It's to help build bridges. It's to help people to build a better quality of life, which is not easy work, right? And there are a lot of organizations locally and individuals who are in this line of business, but aren't having big effects in that area. It's something that I truly believe you have to be committed. Your heart has to be in it. You got to be committed to it, right? So yeah, I wanted to say that it's just as far as how tall of an order this type of work is, if you're truly seeking to be effective. And not just that, but we're also dealing with the community and the people the community is disjointed for several different reasons. People are dealing with a lot of different issues in their life, right? Mm-hmm. Whether we're talking about income or health or, families having issues and different things like that. Crime, violence, all that stuff, right? And so, yeah, I don't necessarily have a question for you here, but I'm hoping that you can speak more about the work, right? Yes, you're right. People do have to be able to buy in and trust what it is that you're doing. And it's also hard to compete with a lot of the different challenges that they're faced with in their life. You can pull a group of kids in and play basketball with them for an hour, but ultimately they go back home and they deal with all those same situations and issues. And what you tried to pour in for that hour, that 60 minutes while you had them, gets counteracted when they go. So it's difficult work. It's hard work. And so that's what I'm hoping that we can talk more about here is the impact and the work that you're really, really doing in the community to be effective at your mission.
You just jump into your whole thought process in regards to relationship building, through what you're doing. And then I'll kind of practically apply that in regards to what we're trying to do, because I think that's really the key, is to build the relationships so that folks think, okay, these folks really do care about me. They're not just here for a one and done type of deal.
Building a purpose. It's like, as you're saying, it's just trying to, show them that everything comes, finding that purpose, building that confidence. And, especially as he's, as Abundant Life been in the community, given the opportunity and the assets and the resources. I'm a child, still, have a mother and everything. So I've come from a single family home. Okay. I watched my mom use these type of resources all her life. So it's been in me kind of to try to, still do my thing, but also give back to the community to try to see, like, it's still examples out there that, that hopefully the purpose that you can believe in.
Right.
And that's what I found in Abundant Life since I've been, watching it. I do believe in what they're doing, especially myself from, being 20 years professional overseas and stuff like that, and a different approach and trying to add together. So,
Yeah. And Michael, but before you go, Travis, I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's crucial, because I'm curious, like when you're out there working, because I know from my work with kids, like sometimes they'll check you. Right. right.
You think?
Right.
I've had that experience, but at the same time, as we say, the resume speaks for itself.
Right.
I can tell them I have a degree. I can show them the degree. I can tell them that I've done this or I've led this, and I can actually show them, because now the kids are different. They want receipts.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say in the receipt, and I appreciate that, but the receipt I was thinking more of is for you to show that you understand their struggle, for you to say, we have more in common than you thought.
Yes. No, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's how, some kids find me relatable.
Yeah.
Because I do try to, not get to their level, but let them understand that, hey, man, I went home hungry sometimes, or had to figure out where I was going to eat or get that next meal from. So it's a lot of conversation you can have within that setting of being in the gym, meet new friends, or even the mentor, the person that you work with that, might get you over that hump.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Michael, what you want to add on?
Yeah, I think what Travis is talking about, just me watching him and going and watching him do his thing. One of the things I think that's so important is the accountability part of it. The kids say, "Hey, I really want to be really good at this, but are you willing to put the time in to do the work?" And Travis saying to them, "Look, it's up to you. I'm going to be here at 6:00. Are you going to be here or not?" and are you going to have done what I told you to do before you get there, so that you come in here and we're in the same place? That's just not going to fly, for me. And then, from a practical application as far as Abundant Life is concerned, one, bringing folks in like Travis and Don Morris, who's the vice chair of the school council, Charlottesville School Board, bringing him in on staff, and Bruce Bowling working with the kids, and Richard Firo and Angel and these folks who every day are building those relationships, building that trust, and then somebody like myself coming in, not as often because of my commitments and stuff, but because I'm walking in with Travis, because I'm walking in with Bruce, the kids go, okay, well, if he's a friend of theirs, then I can try to be a friend of his as well. But
Right.
I think one of the turnkeys was during COVID, as we came back out of COVID and trying to get the kids back in school, and the city school bus didn't have enough bus drivers. They couldn't get the kids to school, and in where we're serving, a lot of parents are off going to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they couldn't drive the kids to school or whatever. And Eddie and the group took our vans that we had, our resources, and we said, okay, how do we get these kids to school?
Right.
And we had volunteers and staff driving these vans and those kids wouldn't have gone to school. They would have just stayed home because they didn't have any way of getting there. And so, kind of putting our mouth where money where our mouth is in that situation, saying, school is important. Travis saying, I got a degree. Yeah, I played professionally and had a good career, but I also have my career, my degree. And I'm now in a position where I can do things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I couldn't have done that. Right. And then the other thing that is happening that I'm excited about is somebody like Don Morris. Again, he's very much involved in the trades, the vocational scenario. So we've just launched a program this year where we're introducing kids 5th, 6th, 7th grade into different types of trade work, carpentry, plumbing, whatever. And that's one of the things I get excited about with Yolanda and what they're doing as far as the, I always get the word wrong, the Cuisinary, is that right? Anyway, kitchen, cooking, that kind of stuff.
Oh, culinary.
Culinary. There you go. But, introducing kids to those things now so that they don't get to 11th grade or 12th grade and say, I don't want to go to college, or maybe I don't have the grades to go to college. They've already made a decision. They're going to make a lot of money, doing plumbing. They're going to make a lot of money doing this. And it's not I have to do this because I'm not going to do this. It's something that, hey, I can make more money doing this than I can ever make going to college, getting a degree, and using that in a different way. And so trying to, and then again, on the adult side, trying to get the parents and the guardians to understand, let's get your financial house in order.
Okay.
So that you're not just always living in a debt situation. Right. And then so they do that. And then the kids see that and equity starts being built. And
is there a huge response to that when you try to, I imagine you have to engage the parent on multi levels, but as far as the work that you're doing with their kid and then trying to give them financial literacy and different things like that, are you having much buy-in?
As far as numbers, no, not as many as we'd like, but as far as success, yes, the people that buy into it are committed to it, are going through it, and it's one success at a time. And what we try to do is create these opportunities while the kids are in the 5-8 group, or with the which is the guys group, or with the girls 5th grade. We're doing that fun at the same time, right? So that the kids are being taken care of, so the parents can be doing something to take care of themselves.
Right, exactly. So I have a question. Go ahead, Razor.
Do y'all also help the kids develop bank accounts?
Like start a bank account? Do you help kids start a bank account, their own personal checking account?
Yeah. So again, in the financial literacy scenario, there's the what I call the ripple effect of the parents starting to do this and paying off, debt and getting themselves in a position to be able to buy a house. And then the discussion then comes to the parent of helping their kids learn the same thing that they learned, right?
But I don't think I asked it right. I'm sorry, sir.
And then the other thing we have is what's called Strive. Once they come out of 8th grade, we have individuals in the community commit to these kids, not just in high school, but for a year after high school. So they make a 5-year one-on-one commitment with these kids. So they've got somebody walking alongside them and just being a different voice in their head, right, than maybe they're hearing at school or even at home for that matter.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I said it right. I was wondering if, because I love the work that y'all are doing, but I also understand that the community that it sounds like you're helping is at a deficit in learning certain things. So I would say there's certain banks in Charlottesville that cater to children starting their actual bank accounts. So learning the lesson is one thing. Actually implementing it is something else. So I would just say, like, maybe y'all want to look into, okay, as you complete the programs and you're doing good work, let's see you start a bank account so that you actually know how to use money as a tool and not letting it enslave you, because that's what tends to happen in these communities.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Michael and Travis, representing Abundant Life Ministries, and we are sort of up against the hour, but if there's a lot more, then we can continue after the break. But I know lastly, what I had was, I know it's a Christian-based organization, faith-based organization. How does that play a part? Does that just drive the mission and the values, or does that play a role in the people that you serve, or is I guess, like your faith also shared with the citizens, or is that totally separate?
Yeah, the way I'd answer that is we absolutely are a faith-based organization, and we're not afraid to lay our claim to that. But at the same time, about a year and a half ago, we did a community survey and really asked the community what was it that they wanted from Abundant Life. And so we've tried to initiate a lot of those things. And one of the things we've been doing are the UVA health clinics, and they're for everybody. You don't have to have any belief if you don't want to. You just got to come, and you're going to be welcome. We have 2 or 3, 4 community events every year where for several hours we're cooking food and people are coming and they're playing cornhole and whatever. We're trying to bring chief of police and his folks there so that they can build relationships with kids and see that they're there to make friendships as well. Again, UVA Pipelines and Pathways is always there. And so, yes, we stand on the fact that we're a faith-based organization, but everything that we do, every program is open to anybody that wants to be a part of it. And, quite honestly, the other side of that is there's some city/grant money, not just city, but grant money that maybe we won't get the opportunity to get because we are faith-based. But I think, quite honestly, in some situations, that really is changing because of, again, like I talked about with the bus situation, that we became an integral factor in getting kids to school. One of the things that has been part of our program forever is tutoring, both at Jackson Via and at Johnson. The tutoring that we have going on, once or twice a week for these kids, where folks come in and really help the kids figure out, whether it's spelling or math or whatever. And people see that, and it's not just for somebody who might say that they're a particular faith. It's for anybody that wants to come and be a part of it. It's a really very, very welcoming place.
Okay, awesome. Ms. Max?
I did have one question. Do we need to go to break? Okay. So what I haven't heard much about is our older teenagers, 16, 17, 18. And those are the ones that, unfortunately, we're losing a lot of them to a bunch of distractions, right? Whether it be drugs or gangs or violence, just you name it. Do you have many within that age group participating in your program, and what are you doing to try to get them more engaged?
You've probably had conversations with Eddie about this. Why don't you talk, and then I'll try to fill in behind you.
I mean, I talk at all age ranges.
Okay.
So, for me, like I say, I just started last year, since I've come back. And so, I started with that age range because I felt it was more important, for the kids before they get the peer pressure. And so since I've been back and, working with them and just seeing our eye, everything takes time. So that's kind of like the next move. But I've seen other organization do such things, for that particular age group at the moment. So, it's just growing. I'm growing and, trying to grow and, and build those right relationships and bridge gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is a really good question, and what we hope is that the kids who come through our 5-8 program,
okay,
they continue on, and that's where the Strive program comes in. That starts freshman high school, goes through 1 year after college.
Okay,
but most of those kids most of the people that are committing to doing that are committing to do it with the kids who have been in the 5-8 group, and so I don't think. It's a bit harder for us. Bruce Bowling could probably speak to this better than I could, but it's a bit harder for us to engage those kids in that scenario because of just the space that we have. Now, if what we do with this community center or whatever it is that we build behind our property, I think that could change. I think that it can be a place where the teenage kids would want to hang out because we've got the right kinds of things going on there. But, I think I would guess that what we're leaning on in that situation is one, that people gravitate toward it because of the 5-8 group and want to be involved in Strive and have that opportunity. And they do things like taking kids on college trips just to see campuses and look and see what they may never have been out of the city before, and to see a college campus and whatever, go, whoa, that's something I would like to do.
Yeah.
But then I think they also look to organizations like Young Life, which is a non-denominational Christian organization in Charlottesville. I was actually the first area director of that back in 1976. Okay. And they're involved in not only the high schools, but in the middle schools as well. They call the middle school program the Wildlife program. And anybody that's working with 7th, 8th graders, man, I think you can call it.
Parents
oh my gosh. That, as a parent, having 3 go through that age group, it is just a nightmare. Which is kind of humorous because all of them think the spotlight's on them. But I try to tell my kids, the spotlight can't be on you because every other kid thinks the spotlight's on them. But at that age, they just don't get it. And so I think we try to partner with, folks like Young Life and make sure our kids are being handed off. One of the things that you said earlier that I think is really important is there are a lot of really great organizations in Charlottesville, but in many ways, and I don't think it's as much this way anymore, but they were all siloed. They were all doing their own thing. And when their thing ended, there wasn't a handoff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think over the last few years, there's been a better working through some different organizations like City of Promise, like Abundant Life, like United Way, the university. A lot of different groups came together and said, okay, how do we hand those pre-K kids into the elementary school age? And how do we hand the elementary school kids off to, that kind of thing? Because that's not our deal. The Boys and Girls Club. Right. I think that only goes for the most part through Boys and Girls and Big Brothers and Big Sisters, right?
I'm not sure.
I think they pretty much only in middle school as well. And then you get the older kids to maybe come in and be like counselors or high school mentors to them, which I think is a great thing as well.
Yeah. A wrap around. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you. This has been very in-depth. Abundant Life Ministries, ladies and gentlemen. And the link is in our comment section where you can learn more. The events they have coming up, how they serve the community. If you want to support, you want to volunteer, looks like some employment opportunities, all that kind of stuff. So, so definitely CharlottesvilleAbundantLife.org. Michael and Travis, any last words for the community?
Oh, I encourage you to come out. I mean, it's still a couple months away, but I encourage you to come out to the Gospel Explosion. It's going to be great music, but it's really going to be just a really cool community time. There'll be a lot of if you want to get to know more about these different organizations that I've talked about, they're going to have tables and information and that kind of thing. And, there's going to be food, and it's just going to be a great, summer afternoon, I guess, really right before kids go back to school. It's August 10th, especially out in the outlying area. You're pretty much getting ready to go back to school at that point. So we can make it the last summer bash type of opportunity.
That's right. And if folks are interested in talking to you, Michael, or they may be intrigued by you, Travis, and your approach, can they? You want to give your contact, or should they go through the main email?
You can find me at _legacy-driven_. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and with me, you can certainly go to the Abundant Life website, and my information's in there as a board member. But, quite honestly, it'd be better to reach out to Eddie, to Bruce, to Faith. All these folks are day-to-day in the midst of it. And from the practical application of things, they're the ones that can really answer the questions for you.
Awesome. Sounds great.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We appreciate you, and thank you for what you're doing for the Charlottesville community.
IMHO Talk Show.